Wassail Beautiful People. House Virgo. So I'm excited about this because I just did Leo and it completely broke the mold, but that's Leo. But it referenced a reading we did about the movement of the moon in preparation for the eclipse tunnels. And it, again, the Leo reading talked about that cosmic serpent frequency that you are the gatekeeper to. And it'll be interesting to see if that comes out in your reading or whether it's something that you're going to be picking up later. So, what's this all about? We're working with this deck, the Alchemy of Astrology, as we develop it, to see how it works and what it does and what it offers us. And we're looking at breaking down characteristics and attributes, both good and bad, and wise and gifting, that exist within all the houses and not just your sun sign. So it could be related to the planets you have here. So for instance, I have a stellium in Virgo. So I have Mars, Pluto, Jupiter and Uranus, big hitters, all in Virgo, but I'm not Sun in Virgo, I'm Sun in Libra. So for me, it's about this big, powerful frequency, and I'll have to interpret it later when I watch it back because I'm interested. It's where all those planets are. So let's begin with Neptune's bells. I feel like there's heat building on the surface of you, Virgo. Like coming out of the underworld and glimpsing the sun for the first time in 6 months. So, Virgo, your bells. There's a coming out party. I heard So Long Farewell from The Sound of Music. So long farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu. You're moving past something. But then I also heard Don't Rain on My Parade. You're about to walk into a celebration of like a homecoming, a return. Interesting. So, you are ruled by Mercury. Mercury was relevant in the last reading in many ways, in the sort of energy of that cosmic snake. But I don't want to say that that's relevant to your reading. I'm just merely connecting back. And it might be that what we're doing now is not an immediate energy, but is just your own attitude to yourself as to how you move forwards. So let's have the G sharp of the throat and see what we get. I want to say immediately there's some kind of transformative flow frequency that is just falling away. Oh, I need to just retune that. It feels like it's gone a bit low. It does darken a little bit in order for me to get it to the old pitch of the body. So it never quite, it's not A440. I'm sensing that there's a sort of a form of anxiety that just slipped, and that you are finding your voice really quite easily, finding your voice. So I've split the house Virgo, and I call it house Virgo because it's not just about your sun sign, as I said. It can be about whatever you have in there, or even if you have nothing in there, it will still be a relevant house number to you. And you need to look at how those Virgo energies might affect, say, your house 6 of health, or your house of home 4. It just depends on where your placements are. So I'm trying to get you all to look deeper into the energies of a house and not define yourself purely as a sun sign, which was difficult at the beginning of Leo because obviously they're ruled by the sun. So, mutable earth. The first part of this reading is always about the shadows. It's always about the dark energies, the chaos that the ego pulls on you when you go into your underworld energies. And so the energy that this frequency of Virgo brings, that's a kind of, which are your shadow aspects, are being critical of others, being judgmental, being deeply secretive. You know, it's quite often said that no one really knows a Virgo because they never let you know who they really are. And you have a social awkwardness. But sometimes I wonder whether the social awkwardness is something we tell you have. Because I think as a sign, I often think there are certain attributes that we negate in Virgo that are actually really positive, but they can pull you into a shadow where it's damaging for yourself. You can be cruel yourself, you know, in your judgments. And it is that desire, that hair-splitting desire that you have to always be right, Virgo. This is me with a stellium in Virgo of really big energies. I am always right, though. So we're looking at your critical dark shadows that lead you, I want to say not up the garden path, but down the garden path, into the darkness, into the pit of mud at the bottom. Even though you can't bear that pit of mud, you just can't help going down there. Because you know it's there. You are critically, you notice the details. You know, you who always overdresses. So you're never suitably dressed for any situation. So Virgo, what do the cards want to tell you about your shadows? That's too many. What would the cards like to tell us about Virgo's shadows? What would the cards like to tell us about Virgo's shadows? Why does Virgo give me the giggles so often? Why are your shadows? They're rotten. They're old rot is what they are. They're ancestral rot. There's something about this that feels like, I want to kind of say that your shadows, it's so difficult to pull a thread on this. They're saying to me that your shadows are put on you by others, and yet they're clothes that fit you perfectly. That's really interesting. I couldn't form that until I started saying it. So your shadows need to be decomposed, because when you decompose the shadows, within the shadows are nutrients, are fodder for future frequencies, for future pleasures, for future development. And you have Neptune. And Neptune's always to do with ancestral blood stories, but it's also about a cleansing process. It's about the renals, the livers, the kidneys, the spleen. It feels like what I'm being shown is an endless cycle of up and down, in the light, in the dark. That Persephone frequency, 6 months here, 6 months there. It's time to rot away and decompose, but also to recompose your ancestral truths, the echoes in your body. There's something about the rot that's talking to me about compost and digging over the earth, being mutable earth, being your truth. Oh, and that's that word I couldn't remember the other day. Materialization, just like the other day. Just now. In Leo. I couldn't remember it. Salt. Salt is the materialization energy. And this is to bring something new, to recompose, but to materialize from fixed modalities. It's fixed. It's when you fix a notion that you can materialize something. You are mutable earth. You need to plow the earth over. You need to bring, so they're saying to me, because this is about the house sex, scalding, emotional, sexual desires. Look, you've been getting loads of messages constantly about not being the virgin, not being the Virgo. You know, embracing your inner librarian who's got all that knowledge, has read all the handbooks, and it's boiling inside you, but it's somehow, it's being suppressed by where you came from, because literally whatever lives you've led before and whatever life energies are in your ancestral blood echoes, they're not able to get out because they're coming, you're born into the frequency of Virgo. This energy is an overpowering frequency that needs to be rotted down and changed to let out your destiny, your north node. So your shadows are keeping you stuck, waiting for you to cleanse, scald, burn up. There's something about the scalding, sometimes in order to kill off the growth years ago, gardeners would scald the earth to stop the weeds that will naturally grow. And sometimes they did it with fire, but sometimes they did it with water, with boiling water poured over soils. There's something about that. There's something about the salt. It's almost like your land, your soil, your plane of the earth that you have control over has had a wave of the sea over it, and it's turned it too alkali, it's turned it too salty for anything to grow. It's something about suppressing the energy frequency of being able to move and plant new frequencies. So in order to materialize something, you need to scald away the toxic salts. And that's that Neptune frequency, the sea. I'm not saying you live near somewhere by the sea. I'm talking about the metaphorical earth landscape that is your inner sanctum. It needs to be rotted down. It needs to be scalded. You need to rot everything down. You need to purify the soil in which your personal Yggdrasil tree is growing. So, self-calm. They're showing me the image of you standing in the underworld, in amongst all the roots of the trees, and the trees having salt on them. It's like your ability to understand, to split the hairs, to spot the details, allows you to understand what has to be done to purify your own landscape, your inner landscape. So the energy of your positive frequencies when you're out in the light are that humbleness that you have, the kindness that you have, the sincerity, and being grounded. There's something here about being overwhelmed and lost in the soil. And your intelligence, your organization, you can organize how to purify the soil. It's almost like it has got something to do with the Leo reading. It's the withering away of the old earth serpent frequency. And you're witty and creative, and so that's part of the frequency that you need to bring back to the earth. So let's have a look at that. The positive energies that Virgo is working with. The positive energies that Virgo is working with. Working with yourself. You're doing this. Virgo, you're refining, you're distilling, you're condensing down things, you're sorting through things, you're organising things, you're rarefying experiences to make space for everybody somehow. And you're bringing you're purifying your essence. Moon in Taurus. Again, this sensual, sexual, non-Virgo energy that's hidden underneath you. This is the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse that's just been. That was in Taurus. You're cleaning up the soil to create an opening frequency for the shift in the nodes. South node goes into Scorpio. It's like you're going to remember your sexual past, your sensual past. That's what's coming. It's coming around the 19th. That's when you'll feel it the most. And that's about re-energizing the song lines. And here's the North Node landing on Taurus. Oh God, the heat that's building up in me. This story I told before about this mutation energy, this moving, this shift that's coming. Which card's got shift in it? You're working on the nodes. It's like you're guiding the nodes to shift. I feel like in many ways it's your job all the time. They're showing me you doing it because there's an excitement building within you, because you're going to be able to bring the nodes within about 3.5 years into your own sign. And that's exciting you. So you're in control of the nodes. You're sorting through things. Essence. This is house 1. You're discovering the self, the true self. Not that energy I said earlier that's put upon you, that's the clothing that fits you so comfortably. Take it off. Find your true self. Your core nature, your scent, your heart, your soul is not who we see. Look, we always say you never know a Virgo, but do you know a Virgo? Do you know yourself in that energy? I feel that that energy is changing. I had when I did the fixed stars reading, Regulus, the fixed star of royalty that was in Leo, has shifted now into Virgo, and it was the last one to shift. All the other three moved, and it was always the overseer of the June solstice, and now it feels like it's the September equinox. Balance, equal night and day, coming into this materialization of your core essence, refixing yourself. You'll always be mutable, you'll always be that mutable earth, but there's something about redefining your essence. I think there's something about your backbone increasing. The ability to stand up and just be you. So, inside you, deep within, hidden within the many layers of you, is your subconscious wisdom. This energy of equinox balance. It's not been called equinox balance before, but it's your efficiency, unfazed by anything, flowing, accomplished, relaxed. Go Virgo, and your imagination will improve. So let's see what we get with that. Let's see what we get with that. Let's see what we get with that, Virgo. We're not getting anything. It's gone very... not quiet. It's organising itself. It's doing a Virgo. The cards are like, we've got to get ourselves into a particular shape. I'm just showing you this, and I'm not going to keep it, but remove, retrograde. But it's remove the old. Remove this, but there's something about the retrograde shift of both Neptune, Venus, and Chiron. There's going to be something that comes along in that energy. You see, Scorpio, this is going back to this house 8, Scorpio frequency. This balance will bring about a new version of you, sectioning off, compartmentalizing the dark shadows from the light, severing the links to the past, where you came from, and moving forwards. You know, this unfazed. I want to say there's something about, it's not carrying a sting in the tail. It's more, when you become what you become, people will be kind of saying, you're not a Virgo. Because there's something about you redefining Virgo. It's not the Virgin anymore. You're tired of that label. And then you have Moon in Leo, explosive creativity. It's like your blood flows. It's like wakening up with a surge of energy. And you've got Mary the Jewess. This is to step into your destiny point, to step into your... I'm going to read you your gifts, because this is telling us in a kind of preemptive way what's coming. And your gifts are sometimes seen as things that people would criticize you for. but they're your power. So commitment, critical thinking. Without your critical thinking, not in the dark shadow energy of it, but critical thinking to understand how to bring changes, is an empowering energy. And you will be decisive. You've always been decisive. Judgments made on others so quickly. But that can be really beneficial. Not piddle-arsing around, all coquettish and shy and then stabbing people in the back. Just going decisively with things, showing your leadership. I'm being shown the energy of Mary the Jewess as, in some early drawings of the night sky, Virgo holds Leo and Ophiuchus at times. And Virgo is a really big, long, originally, much wider constellation because of the size of it. It's almost like Iana Ishtar. It's really going back to a suppression of femininity when feminine frequencies were the magic. They were the philosopher's stone because they made life in their belly. It's somehow about returning you to your power, empowering you larger than you've ever imagined you could be. That's what comes. So your gift, as I said, this commitment, this critical thinking, this decisiveness, this leadership and this vigilance, this ability to be vigilant for the sake of others. What's that bringing, Virgo? That's too many. Can't get them up. I've got 2. There's so much heat building in me with your reading as the sun comes out. So what do we have? Aqua Regia dissolves gold. The idea is that the gold is something that needs Aqua Regia because it will not dissolve in anything else. It needs something special to break down, to be corrosive. This is you with these gifts breaking down fixed energies, fixed stereotypes of what you've been made to become. I'm being shown Victoria Regina in this energy, and that's an interesting example. I don't know when her birthday was, but she's seen as the kind, like Elizabeth I, in that sort of prim and proper, not a virgin queen, but Victoria was seen as, she was a mother, of many children, but she was meant in that sort of Victorian frequency of primness, of demureness. Later we've been learning that Queen Victoria loved sex. She adored sex. And that's something about, it feels like that's an energy that you need to corrode away, that frequency of Virgo the Virgin. I'm not saying rush out and be promiscuous, but I'm saying attach no shame to your sexual desires, because there's a lot of sexual energy that's been coming out a lot with you guys and gals. And we've got Hygeia, biome, preventative medicine. See, now that's interesting. They're saying to me pleasure is preventative medicine. If you can move into your truth, your happy solar plexus frequency, joy is your preventative medicine. Joy is the thing that will rejuvenate and bring you life, love, longevity, pleasure, happiness. Interesting. So, that's you, Virgo. Enjoy letting go and dissolving all those things that are not really you, and yet they're clothes that fit you so well. They're like a Zentai bodysuit, you can't get it off almost. Or like the woman in the James Bond film who was sprayed gold. It's an energy where you just need to kind of scrub up and scrub down in many ways, like getting the muddy puddle business at the bottom of the garden. You've got to re-find yourself through your defining boundaries and not the defining boundaries that others tell you fit you so well. So, Wassail Virgo.